everybody, what's up and welcome back to my channel. Welcome to today's video featuring the Morphe 35I Icy Fantasy eyeshadow palette. I was super intrigued with this palette. This is everything that speaks to me on an eyeshadow palette level, and so I have a whole lot of thoughts for you. If you're curious to see if this palette is right for you, then I've got swatches, I've got a demo, thoughts, description, all of that good stuff. So let's not waste any time. Let's just go ahead and start talking about this palette. Before we start talking about the palette, real quick, I just want to say that if you are new to my channel, welcome. I'm so excited that you stopped by. Thank you so much for doing so. I hope that you like what you see, and if by the end of the video you do, I hope you will consider subscribing. I'd love to have you as a part of this YouTube family and on this YouTube journey, as I almost get stumbled by my words. And as usual, if you do find this video helpful or entertaining or whatever the case may be, I hope you'll give it a thumbs up, as that really does help me out. So let's move into the palette. Morphe released this 35I Icy Fantasy palette. And what's funny is I typically don't buy a whole lot of Morphe products. Their Continuous Face Mist is practically my favorite face spray of anything. And a couple of their palettes that I have recently purchased, I've really enjoyed. So on that, like building on that, and then seeing that this was going to release as far as like a pastel type of color story, I was like, okay, done. I don't even think I'm going to wait for it to release at Ulta. I am going to pick it up at the Morphe store when it releases, which is what I did. So this is what the packaging looks like. It's so aesthetically pleasing. Like, it's so pretty. I could like prop it up and literally look at it, and it's just, it makes me happy. It's got those pastels. The swirl looks just really nice, and I am thoroughly enjoying this packaging. And then the back of the box has like a little description and the ingredients. Before we start going into the palette itself, let me go ahead and take you to the Morphe website so that we can talk about details, description, all of that. It is a $25 eyeshadow palette, and it says it says, "You're a dreamer, Morphe babe. Escape into this icy vortex that includes matte, shimmer, and iridescent shades, plus silk slip toppers and a touch of glitter. Each color is inspired by cool pastel tones and is going to give you some chills. So go on, live your fantasy." This is in collaboration with Pony Park. She's a makeup artist, YouTube star, Instagram icon. This stunning, super talented South Korean babe commands attention around the globe with her full face transformations and ethereal eye-catching style. I will be the first to say I have not seen her work. I don't watch her videos, but I am very intrigued after purchasing this palette and just seeing the color story and packaging, that now I really do want to check her out. So as far as the palette itself, this is what it looks like. It looks exactly like the box, which if you are a regular on my channel, you know that I like for my palettes to have the same theme, or I like them to look the same as the box. If they don't, I typically keep the box. But in this case, it does look the same, and the 35i is holographic. It's just really nice, and I truly think this is probably my favorite packaging that I have seen from any Morphe release. And again, I don't own a lot. I own 3 palettes. Let's see, including, oh no, not including this one because I have the Jaclyn Hill Vault, but yeah, this is just the best packaging I have seen from Morphe, and by far from the ones that I own by the brand. So as far as shelf life, the box does state that this does have a 12-month shelf life, and for reference, if you are interested, it is made in China. So let's go ahead and open this bad boy up. Now, first of all, I'm going to tell you it does not have a mirror, which I typically expect their palettes to not have a mirror. So that is fine with me, no big deal. And then in Morphe fashion, the shade names are on a plastic sheet. I know that that really is a dislike for quite a few people. I would prefer them to be on the palette, but it's not a deal breaker for me. It's not like, you know, I don't think any less of the palette because it's on a plastic sheet. I usually keep them anyways. So that is that. Now let's go ahead and go into the color story and all of that good stuff. Let me bring you in up close so that you can see what this bad boy looks like, so that you have an idea in case you haven't already done research on this palette. It's got a very, I think it's got a good color story as far as variety when it relates to pastels. So that's what that bad boy looks like. And as the description said, you have an array of mattes, you've got the toppers, you've got some like satiny metallic type shades, and then you have one chunky glitter shade. So if you're interested, I know a lot of people like to know what the ratio is between mattes and everything else. There are 14 true mattes in here. There is one shade that is a matte that has some little specks in there, but to me those, I consider that to be a matte, which would make it 15 mattes. But those sparkles typically fall out when you start blending the shade anyways. So, so just know that roughly it's not half the palette in mattes, but a good amount. And then you've got, let's see, one, two, you've got about 3 shades that are those kind of true toppers, kind of like the Dominique Cosmetics Celestial Storm palette. And they're very sparkly, like they're very beaming, but they are toppers. And so let's go ahead and start getting swatches so that you can see what these look like, and then we'll go into demo, and then we'll go into final thoughts from there. All right, y'all, so we've got Whiteout, Snow Glow, Wishful, and Flash Freeze. And then next up, I forgot to count one that is also a topper, so technically there are about 4 of them in this bunch. But here we got Secret Escape, we've got So Surreal, Spellbinding, and Brilliant. Some of these are very, very light and may not even come across a whole lot. Here you've got Euphoria, Echo, Thaw, Yeah, and Chill Thrill. Here you've got Into the Blue, Dreamer, Get Fresh, and Coral Cloud. Next 4 are Soar, Dazed, Cold Snap, and Below Zero. Here we have got Deliver, Shiver, so funny, Imagine, Rosy Haze, and Sky High. Here with these first 2 being toppers, we've got Mystical, Starlit, Arctic Abyss, and Holothermia. I have never heard that word before, so if you know what it means, let me know in the comment section below. We are reaching the home stretch. We've got Hush, Fierce, Flurry, Avalanche, and Cosmic Cool. This one is beautiful. The last 3 that we've got are Frostbright, Black Ice, and Charmed, with Frostbright being that chunky glitter shade. Alright guys, now that we've gone through all of the swatches, it's time for the demo. So if you're interested in seeing how I got this look and just kind of how the shades perform, especially just how vivid they are, because I feel like pastels, that can be an issue, then just keep on watching. We're going to go ahead and start off with the shade Chill Thrill, and it is the minty matte shade. We're going to go ahead and place this in the crease. It does take a little bit of building up. When I say a little bit, I mean several times to kind of get pigmentation that I wanted to see in the crease. Next up, it's going to be time to go into the shade Dreamer. Now this is a matte shade. It's like a lilac purple shade. It's very pretty, and I find that this one is a little bit easier to build up than that mint shade, but still, same story. It does require a few layers to kind of build up and get it to the desired intensity, at least that I was looking for. Now I'm going to go in with like a smaller brush, and instead of kind of blending or buffing it on, I'm really just laying it down, and that's to increase the color as well. Alright, next up we're going to go in with the shade Cold Snap. Now I'm going to start off with a brush. I am using this dry, and I am going to pack this onto the center portion of the lid. And I'm going in again with a couple of different layers just to kind of build that up. But in addition to that, I am going to also grab some with my finger and layer it on as well to, again, build up the intensity. Now it's time to go in with the shade Coral Cloud. I'm just going to grab a little detailing brush, and all I'm going to do with this is just place it on what I consider to be the seam where the two shades meet, that matte and then that Cold Snap in the middle, just to kind of add some pop of color, just a little bit of excitement there. Alright, next up I'm going in with one of the toppers. This is in the shade Starlit. These are used best with the finger. They're very thin, but they pack a lot of punch in relation to sparkle. So just adding that on top of the Cold Snap shade, just to bring out some twinkle on the lid. Alright, now I'm going into the shade Deliver Shiver with a pencil brush. This is going to be what goes on the lower lash line. This one I have no issues with. It didn't really take a whole lot of building. Was able to get what I wanted on the lid without going in with several different layers. Alright, now it's time to go in with another one of the toppers. This is in the shade Mystical, going in with that same little detailing brush and placing this in the inner corner. Alright, I'll be right back. Just going to do liner and lashes, and this is the final look. I hope you enjoyed and found it easy to follow. Alright guys, I hope you found that easy to follow and just kind of quick and uncomplicated. So now it's time to go into probably what you are looking for most, and that is final thoughts. Please excuse the dog. He just came into the room and his collar made a ton of noise just then. Alright, so you've seen how they perform. We've gone through swatches, and you might have kind of already seen just how vivid or lack of opacity these have. So first off, let's go in with the mattes. You're going to see the dog right behind me. Such a distraction. For you and for me. Pongo, get down, bud. Pongo, get down, please. Sit, bud. Come on, sit down. Sit down, baby. Alright guys, so finally jumped off the bed. I wouldn't have been able to proceed with him back there. It's too distracting. Alright, so let's start off with the mattes, the way that I usually do. So first off, as far as blendability and fallout, the fallout is minimal. In the times that have used this, really have not had any fallout. But fallout's not a deal breaker for me. For y'all, for some of y'all, that I know that can be an issue. So just wanted to relate that. As far as the mattes, they blend very easily, very well. And in fact, these shades, and I don't know the whole background behind what shades are difficult to make and not. As far as a black, I know those are typically difficult, but overall, colors, I am not sure. However, I do know that for the most part, Morphe mattes can be a little bit more stiff and dry to the touch, and these are the complete opposite. They're very silky, very soft to the touch, to the point where if you go in too hard like I did on a couple of these, it almost clumps when you swatch them or swipe them on your hand. So in that aspect, they're beautiful. I love how they just easily blend. Now, as far as pigmentation goes, it's a little bit of a different story, and These take quite a bit of building up. I have found that I've always told y'all, like with neon shades, that sometimes you really have to let the NYX Milk Eye Crayon step in and let it do its work, because that gives you a super stark white canvas to really let the eye color pop, or the eye shade pop. Eyeshadow? Oh, sorry. Anyways, with neon shades, sometimes I find it necessary to use that. If not, the vibrancy just isn't there. I find the same thing of these. Now, the base I used for today's look was the P. Louise, which already is a little bit lighter than my skin tone and provides a little bit better of a blank canvas than just a regular primer that doesn't have any tint whatsoever. But I have found in using the Milk Crayon that these shades pop so much more. I did not use it in today's because I wanted you to see firsthand how they apply and how they look when you put them on, because a lot of y'all don't want to have to take that extra step of putting the NYX Milk Crayon, and you want to see true to color. So that's how it is, the way it is on my eye. You saw that like in the crease shade, I had to go in a couple of times. As far as that lilac shade on the outer and inner portion of the lid, like for the outer portion, once I went in with a kind of like to pat it down with a blending brush, I went in with a smaller, denser, almost packing brush to kind of just lay it down to intensify that color. And that's just how these are. I was hoping that these would be a little bit more on the vibrant side to where you wouldn't need a whole lot of help. But no, they do take quite a bit of layering. The ones probably that need the least, there's two of them, and it is the coral shade and this pink shade. I have found those to deliver the best just intensity, I guess you can say, without a whole lot of buildup and without the NYX Milk Crayon. Aside from that, the greens especially like the mint one that I put on my crease, these chartreuse and yellow shades, pretty much all of them, with the exception of the two that I showed you, those do take building up and take something of a brighter canvas underneath to bring them through. As far as the toppers, they are so beautiful. They add such a beautiful twinkle. If you've watched some of my holiday videos, as far as the Morphe Holiday Palette, the Hit the Lights palette, when I first swatched those, I was a little unsure of how I was gonna like them because they're very thin to the touch, and I was like, oh, these are gonna be poop. And they were anything but. They deliver such a twinkle, such a beautiful sparkle that I ended up loving them. And that stands true of this as well. I stand behind that statement for these as well. They are just so twinkly, so, I don't know, it's like little lights on your eye, and I am huge on those toppers. I like that they were included. So if you remember my Dominique Cosmetics Celestial Storm palette review, I was really disappointed because I did not know those were toppers, and whether they were marketed as such, I don't remember. I know at this point they are, but I thought those were going to be super opaque and sparkly, and they weren't. But with these, I didn't really anticipate them to be super opaque and sparkly. They are slightly opaque, like they're very thin, so they're not opaque as just on their own, but the twinkle they deliver is so pretty. And that green on my inner corner, oh my gosh, I could have gone to town with that. I could have kept on layering. This glitter shade, the chunky shade, is beautiful. It's very stunning on the eye. Honestly, this one adheres really well without glitter glue, but I'm huge on glitter glue, especially because if you take the chance of getting it in your eye, it's so uncomfortable. It's so uncomfortable. Don't be that person that's at work and you're like, oh, excuse me, I need to be excused from this meeting because of glitter in my eye. No, use a glitter glue, but this one does adhere better than chunky glitters that I have played with in the past. So that's that. As far as I don't know what I would consider these to be, satin shades maybe. They are very rich, very opaque, very beautiful, especially these two, the green and the coral. Beautiful, lovely. The blue I used in the middle of my eye, that one's a little bit toned down, and that's why I went in with a brush, and then afterwards I went in with my finger because I wanted to layer and add that last just very opaque layer, because just with the brush doesn't really cut it. So it's kind of what I have found with this palette is kind of trial and error on what works best with a brush, what works best with my finger, what I like to layer, you know, what works best with what base. It has definitely been trial and error. So all in all, my final verdict on this is that as beautiful as this color scheme is, as drawn to it as I am, it's like, it makes me happy to just look at it. This is the type of pastel palette I would want. Like this is right up my alley. I would choose this over a neutral palette hands down any day of the week. Is it the pastel palette of my dreams? No. Color scheme wise, absolutely. But as far as just some inconsistency, no. And then as far as like, I really was hoping that, and this might be your hope too. I'm struggling to talk and I don't understand why. Anyways, this might be your hope too, is that minimal layering and no assistance with bringing those colors to life. And that wasn't the case. So it's definitely, it's beautiful. I'm glad I bought it. I think for $25, it was worth it. For this price point, I think it's definitely worth looking at, going in store, checking out. Whether it's the pastel palette of my dreams, no. And so if this were a dazzled or disappointed, I guess it'd kind of be a disappointed. But anyways, so definitely a lot of pros to this palette, but certainly its negatives as well. And you know, you just got to take it for what it's worth and see if you're willing to put in that little extra work and that kind of thing. And price point is huge, and I think this is a decent price point. So definitely wish it was what I was hoping it would be. All right, my friends, again, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you're new, I hope you liked what you saw. Please come back and see me. I would love to see you again and talk to you again on this channel. And before I let you go, I do want to give you a quick verse of the day, just in an effort to encourage you and to wish you a most wonderful day. Whether you're having a great day or a bad day, I hope this continues your great day or turns your bad day around. So today's comes from Psalm 20 verse 4, and it says, "May he grant your heart's desires and make all your plans succeed." All right, guys, I hope you're having a wonderful start to 2020. We're already past the halfway point of January, so lots more makeup videos coming your way. I hope you'll stick around, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye, guys.